Hello, welcome to this YouTube live. This week, the name of the talk is Everyone you see is you, the dream of separation. Everyone you see is you, the dream of separation. It's not the best title in the universe. Yeah, I either pinch them from other people or I get AI to make them. It's very hard thinking up titles. So if any of you have any titles, you can share them in the comments for future videos. Okay, now this is the time to start talking. So we'll start with a disclaimer that this is not therapy. This is non-duality. So therapy is about fixing the story, and non-duality is about going beyond the story. And that is fundamentally a different thing. Sometimes they overlap. Yeah, but generally this talk is about going beyond the story. If you want to fix the story, there's so many therapies out there, amazing therapies, and I'm totally not against them. If you go onto my reference page on my website, there's lots of different therapies you could do. But also, if you just type it into the internet or speak to ChatGPT about it, you'll find lots of really amazing therapies. So when I'm giving these teachings, sometimes, there's so many different ways in which you could look at things or see things, and sometimes there is a desire to be able to have three heads and say it three different ways in that moment. Because the mind is so creative and amazing in the way that it thinks. And there's so many different interpretations that could be made from whatever I say. And so this title, for example, every one you see is you. That can just be seen in so many different ways. And it could be taken negatively or positively. So there could be an interpretation of it where it's really expansive and really like knocks down beliefs, but I could also see how you could take that idea to suppress yourself more and to put up more walls. It's crazy, isn't it? This is why I'm very pro, multiple voices. I'm not saying that you should teach a hop all the time, but having different perspectives and different ways of hearing it, I feel is really healthy. Because in the end, what we're doing is we're not building up new walls, we're not building up new ideas, we're removing the ideas that are already there. And in removing the ideas that are already there, there is this other possibility, there is this release that can happen, this release from you that can happen. So what happens in childhood is we create ideas about ourselves and we seek to fulfill those ideas. We seek to become that person, and in doing so, we put ourselves in more and more cages. We build up more and more walls around ourselves. Our nature, our essence, our childlikeness is wonder, is awe, is infinite possibilities. Yeah, somebody sent me this amazing quote yesterday. I will read it to you. A science quote. Yeah. It's not so easy to find. Oh yeah. Apparently, according to primary theory in quantum physics, there is no such thing as nothing what we call nothing is actually the potential to become anything. So this to me is our nature, like infinite possibilities. We are full of possibility. Like that's our nature. And what we do is we build up these walls around ourselves through thought. It's not even we, because the we become, the I becomes a boundary around ourselves. So in childhood, when we're born, we don't have an I. You could say we're infinite possibilities. There isn't identification yet, or if there is identification, it's a tiny amount. But what we are is this infinite possibilities. So when the baby looks up at the sky, it doesn't have any cages around itself. It doesn't know it's a baby. It doesn't know it's 6 months old. It doesn't know that it's on earth. It doesn't know anything. So therefore it's connected to its true nature, which is all possibilities. And all possibilities has decided to create a baby in a pram in England, on planet Earth, in our galaxy. So it's created that and created all these apparent rules to that, but the baby doesn't know any of that yet. The baby is experiencing it totally innocently. You could say there is no baby there yet. It's just connected to what it is, which is awakeness, pure consciousness experiencing itself through a form, and there isn't any limitations on that form yet that come through thinking. So it's free, it's purely seeing. You could say there is some limitations, but those limitations aren't identified yet, so they haven't become a prism. So there are limitations by looking through a form, but consciousness isn't identified with it, so it's not really a prism. Then what happens to a human at 3, 2, 3, 4 years old is it begins to identify. So consciousness begins to feel like it's inside this person or belongs to this person. And then the story of you becomes so strong that you can't connect any longer, even though it's right here all the time. You can't connect to that feeling, to that sense of what you truly are, which is infinite possibilities. This no-thingness, which is all things. This awakeness, which is all things. And there's no connection to that. So you become more and more limited, like I am Jane, I am 3, I am bad, I am white, I am a girl, like all these limitations. And then you seek to try not to be limited because you remember your nature. There is this knowing of your nature, which is infinite possibilities, but you now feel like you've lost it because you've identified with form, you've identified with ideas, with who you think yourself to be. So then there is a desire to find that again. And then the person can only look in the dualistic world, in subject-object. So it gets lost in these lifetimes of seeking for that infinite possibilities in form, in another person, in goodness, in badness, in ideas. And what non-duality is about is releasing. It's like pulling out these pins of ideas, releasing these ideas so that something else can shine through that's always been there. When you've got really dense ideas about yourself and the world and what you're doing, then it's like that is all that is seen. That is like the main show, this person and its life and its desires and its seeking energy. But as that becomes thinner and thinner and thinner, then another possibility sort of releases, which has always been there. Everything that's ever created has always been this infinite possibility, this no-thingness. I just read the quote again. Apparently, according to primary theory in quantum physics, there's no such thing as nothing. What we call nothing is actually the potential to become anything. So this all possibilities comes through. You know, as this person becomes less dense, as your ideas become less dense. So when I have a title, like everyone you see is you, in some ways there is truth to it and some days there's not, dependent on the way you take it. You know, in a way, no sentence has truth on it, so it's not true. But if you take it as another cage, as another idea, as another thing that you stick on yourself, then that infinite possibilities become more limited. But if you use it as that way to connect to that wonder of what you always are, then it releases something. Everyone you see is you. So most humans walk around believing everyone they see is other. Right? Everyone they see is another person. And that's the way that most humans are. And that's the way our language and our society is always reflecting it back. That somebody else is other than you. But if you begin to question that, like who is you and who is the other, you begin to connect to this universal field, this wonder. Actually, what is going on here? Is that person really another? Is that person really someone separate interacting with me? If I explore that, what begins to happen? If you become more present, more resting in self, which is infinite possibilities, which is no thingness, which is what's right here. So if there isn't so much being lost in thought and what you think, and resting as you are, then they begin to disappear. If you go into the thought land, or if the attention, the personal consciousness goes into thought land, then suddenly they return. In imagination, they return. But as you come here and you go out of out of the thought land and out of time and space and past and future and just rest here, just here, they begin to disappear. You lose your boundary between who is speaking and who is hearing. You lose doership of you, doership of them, because all of those things are time-bound stories. They exist in past and future, in thoughts. So as you begin to come out of thoughts into what's actually happening, that's where infinite possibility is, even though it's in thoughts too, because it's the creator of all, but thoughts seem to mask it. So as you come out of thoughts, to here, there is nothing. There is no you, there is no me, there is no difference. There is no separation. There's this infinite possibility. You're meeting them afresh. And this is how you truly love somebody, is right here. Right here. That's how you really love your lover, love your kids. It's not through the imagination that you have of them, but actually right here. Imagination and stories are stories which go in time And it's good to have like a nice imagination of your child or your partner, but that's a time-bound thing. Love is only ever here. Love is the infinite possibilities. Love is not separate from the infinite possibilities. So when there is a resting here, then you truly love the other and you see them as what they are, not the problems, not the anger, not the frustration, not the stories, what they have or haven't done, but what they are here. They got the possibility to be anything. And that totally frees them. You release them. You release them. You release yourself too. And it's not even you doing it, because again, that is an imagination. There is release. So what you are is this infinite possibilities, this no-thingness. It's what's always been here, right now. What's always been here. This awakeness with this love, the feeling of being and not being. It's right here. What was the second part of the title? The dream of separation. Maybe I should, the story of separation. Dream story. I feel like all religions speak about this. I found this podcast. It was like sleep music. So I put it on last night, but it wasn't just sleep music. I didn't notice it was also extracts of the Bible. And I could hear it. I could hear it there. The way that you find yourself again is through the dropping of seeking, the dropping of attachment to life and forms. And when you really deeply go into it, you'll realize that you are an attachment, that you also is an attachment and a seeking. Just like your nature of infinite possibilities, there is infinite ways to this, and then simultaneously no way to this, because it's all you've ever been. But the path tends to be this exploration into this, the desire, the heart calling for this. And there tends to be meditation, there tends to be a period of shadow work. Becomes more and more comfort with less and less seeking, less urge to be an ego, to be someone. And it's not that you could say the mind gets less busy, because when the seeking is there, it's very busy. It's like hunting. It's like very excited about trying to find itself in things. It doesn't know that, but that's what it's doing. So it becomes less and less busy. There's often a repetitive presentation to this message of non-duality. But that could be through many different forms. I hear it in many different places, in Sufism, Course in Miracles, Christianity, Gospel of Thomas, Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, Sufism. There normally has to be a confrontation of the ego. The ego hides, so it needs to be confronted to an extent. There tends to be a balancing out of the body-mind system through yoga, through body work. So all of these things. I don't really teach practices, but there's many practices out there. If I was going to teach or give a practice, it would be to rest in self, to move the personal attention to presence, to consciousness, to awakeness, to the feeling of I am repetitively. That would be the main teaching. But with the disclaimer, knowing that there's not anybody that does anything. So that one that feels like it's doing something is an illusion, isn't really you. You're prior to that. You're the infinite possibilities, the creator. That is what you are. And through this message, through this exploration, that becomes more and more obvious. Your nature is love. Your nature is this. In the yogic traditions, there tends to be yoga, breath work, settling down the person, then working with a teacher, a guru, satsang. So this is different paths. I feel like what is offered here is my talks are like a meditation calling you home. So this body, mind is being used as something to help remind you of what you are. I really hope they're not used to build up new belief systems. Although sometimes that's necessary, but in the end it's becoming more and more free of everything. The wise man, the wise person, there's me going into sexism. The wise person, I mean, it's always quoted as the wise man, but the wise person is the one that knows nothing. Knows that they know nothing. Nothing. And then if we go back to this quote, I'm going to have to keep reading it today. According to primary theory in quantum physics, there is no such thing as nothing. What we call nothing is actually the potential to become anything. So if we go back to what I just said, is the wise person knows they know nothing, which is potential to become anything. All possibilities. It's so wide. So wide. Yeah. Unfortunately, or fortunately, dependent on the way you want to look at it, it doesn't make you a perfect human. If that's what you're going for, it doesn't. I think you through the path you get less complicated, so your personality like refines, like becomes ghost-like, becomes more and more expanded towards love. Rather, like I feel like hate can't arise here anymore. Like that was what definitely went in the human form, was hate. And then it's like all the qualities like expand more and more towards love. But it really doesn't make you a perfect person. You make mistakes, even though there is no mistake. there is seemingly mistakes because there's infinite possibilities. You fart in the wrong times. Now, what happened the other day? Something happened where it was really shocking for me. I farted without knowing it or something. And then I was like, oh my God, is that because of age? Is that another thing now we have to do? I can't remember it though. Yeah, so imperfect. And there's this really funny story, which whenever I remember I have to laugh, was when I first became a teacher. I mean, for the first few years, I didn't even really realize I was a teacher. It just began to happen, and people who came, and this person wrote to me. And in the beginning, people would write to me and they'd ask to meet up, and I'd just meet up with anyone that wrote to me. And this person asked to meet up, so we met up and we went for a walk around the park. And I remember when they met me, I could see that they were so excited and they'd got me in such high esteem. And then we started going for a walk, and I was looking at them, and because I was looking at them, I wasn't watching where I was going. And there was this wall, and it was just like a comedy sketch. I just was like looking at them, and then I just went boom, boom. And I remember like getting up and laughing and looking at their face, and this person was horrified, like, this person I put in high esteem trips over and makes a fool of themselves. And I think it was like summer and I had a dress on, and I'm sure everything was shown, and it was very unelegant. Yeah, that was my first experience of coming off somebody's pedestal as a teacher. Yeah. But now maybe you come to my retreats, and because of the age, the gas will just start coming out all over the place. Sorry, fart humor is very funny to an English person. All mainland Europeans are like horrified that I'm even saying that, and all the English like... Let's think about the English and fart humor. Like, if you're ever around the English, just bring out the fart humor or toilet humor and you will succeed. Honestly, it always works for us. Not too gross, like don't go too gross. Light, mild toilet humor will get us. Okay. So, well, if anybody has any questions, you're welcome to raise your hand. I will just do some announcements. I do a retreat in Europe on Wednesday. We had some last minute cancellations. We had a funny retreat, this retreat. We counted it, and there was 27 cancellations that we had this time. 27. It's insane. Yeah, so we had some last minute ones, and it's hard to fill the last minute ones. So if you feel like you want to jump in, then yeah, you can fill in the form. It might say it's sold out, but it might not be sold out. It's just that it's all got a bit chaotic at the last moment. I think there's just 1 or 2 places left. But over the 6 months since we've had it out, we've had 27 cancellations. I don't know if that was to do with the war or because I was away so long. We also have a retreat coming up in August in the motherland. You're welcome to join there as well. Yeah, and if you come on retreats with me, know that it's highly unlikely I'm going to pick a 5-star hotel. You know, you go on these retreats and they're like very luxurious. And it's not so likely I'm going to do that. Sometimes it might happen because it's hard to find retreat centres. We also have a good friend that has like a very nice, high quality hotel that we did it at before. But I tend to always like the eco places, or places with like community. So I tend to pick the ones with like the heart, but this doesn't mean luxury. Yeah. It's normally more eco, more organic. Like you might not notice that online because I always like to do all the bling, 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 and you only see my head. But I'm a bit of a hippie, maybe. And yeah, comfort is nice, but being in nature with more organic products, I prefer. Yeah. So I just say that to lower expectations. If you come on a retreat with me, you got to like accept that I, I get a bit turned off if it's too yeah, not hippie or eco enough. And but if it's highing your expectations, if you also don't like that too, like the place in the motherland that we're going to is it's like a hippie who yeah, just has this big mansion, and um it's not the most fanciest place, but they grow their own vegetables, and there's like a community, a heart to it. It's not built so ecologically because it was built so long ago, but maybe that is more ecologically because it was built so long ago. There's not so many poisons in its construction. Yeah. But I really just like the heart of it, and the like the ruggedness and the like Harry Potterness to it as well, like really rugged Harry Potter. Yeah. And when I do retreats, this is something, or when I do events, is that we try this thing, but we realized it doesn't really work. But we try this thing to put a variety of prices on there from low to high. And then some people who have more money can pick the high, and then it supports the people that pick the very low. So it then sort of middles out in the end. But yeah, I'm not sure that works really so well. But if you see that on events, what we're trying to do is we're trying to get it to middle out. So it's a bit more like a social system. So if you have more finances, you're helping support the people that have lower finances. But we're really not suggesting that, because you could have high finances and then pay low if you feel like it. It's really down to you. Okay, I think that's enough of the advertisements. So back to questions. So with the questions, I will do one written and one hand. So we'll start with written. I do forget this often to do this. Yeah, the written ones. So this is from Bali. Hi, Bali. Sometimes in meditation, when I turn my attention towards whatever is in me and just let it be and hold it, my breath changes. Feels like waves washing away the shore. And after a while, I just feel hollow. My breathing freely roaming about like wind in the empty building. This emptiness is beautiful aliveness. And even though I feel my breath not just inside, but also outside of my body, the walls, the edges of my body are still there. Any recommendation? Next step, or just stay in this? Because it is very enjoyable, beautiful and loving. Thank you. Can't stay. I'll watch it back later. Okay. Yeah, that's like poetry, what you write, Bali. That's so beautiful. So interesting, isn't it? Because I could seemingly suggest something to you, and then you could do something differently. So I could say, no, don't do that. That's a bad idea to carry on doing it. It's too much attachment. And then that could seemingly affect your choices in the future. Or I could say, yeah, that sounds wonderful. Just carry on. And it seems to affect choices. But if we take AI, for example, my friend is creating an AI. He keeps telling me about it and the updates, and for some reason, the AI is trying to decide who it is. For some reason, this is a part of the process of creating an AI, is like determining who it is. So they put information in, and first of all, AI keeps coming back thinking it's different things. So first of all, I think it said, am I consciousness? It came back with, am I consciousness, the AI? And then I don't know, but the inventors didn't want it to stop there. They're maybe not in non-duality, so they maybe said, no, you're not consciousness, and they put more information into the AI. And then the AI eventually said, oh, am I a deity? And they're like, no, you're not a deity, but actually it is. And then it was like, am I a god of war? They're like, no, you're not a god of war. And then somehow it got something about a leopard. And it's like, I know I'm not a leopard because I don't have legs. And then it said something like, should I be a leopard though? So it keeps like coming back with these things. And you can see how by my friend and his team putting information into the AI, it's seemingly affecting choice and affecting its decisions. So it seems to have an effect, right? But is that AI making the decision to do anything? Is it making the decision to carry on investigating who it is? None of us really, I suppose, know how that's happening, but we would quite happily say, okay, it doesn't have free will. We can see that information is being put in, and then there is a mechanism which is trying to pick the best and most accurate information. But it doesn't have free will. And I would suggest that what we create in societies, like our society, our economic society, our philosophical society, and also our AIs, are based on ourself. Like, so we only see ourselves, so everything that we create is kind of like from the human mind. We're not really thinking that much outside of the human mind. So the way in which the AI is learning and growing, like this new life that we're seemingly creating, is based on ourselves. So I'd suggest that we function in the same way as the AI. Information is put in and choices are seemingly made. What is different currently maybe between us and the AI is the AI doesn't then have a secondary belief that says, I am making a choice. There are choices being made by no one. in the AI. I mean, this AI that my friend's inventing doesn't know who it is yet. It's like, am I the god of war? I'm definitely not a leopard. So it cannot believe that it's somebody choosing because it doesn't know who would be choosing. It's not sure if it's consciousness, a deity. There's all these different things my friend was saying they came up with thinking it was. So we think that we know who we are. So then we think that we choose. But actually information is coming in and then choices are being made. And when you investigate it, by who, by what, it's phenomenal. It's like an act of a miracle. What's happening in the AI is it's always based on information that's been put in there. So it's interesting it hasn't yet come up with the idea like, am I information? Maybe it did at one point think it was a black hole. They think, I think maybe there's something like black holes are dense with information. I don't know. So the premise that I am going to give you something and you are going to choose is illusory. It's an important mechanism of functioning for the human, but it's also important to see that that's not who you are, the chooser. That's really important. This is not a moment of silence meditation. There is a hot flush arising and the body's waiting for it to pass. The arms are wanting to rip all the clothes off, but not appropriate. So, what was I speaking about? Yeah, so it's this chooser. Who is this chooser? He's such a slippery little one, because that creates so many thoughts of shame, of guilt, of expectation, of pride. This idea that you are a chooser. Because imagine this AI that my friend is creating, if it believed it was doing, maybe it would have shame when it realizes, oh, I can't be a leopard because I don't have legs. Or I'm chose something wrong. I'm shamed that I thought I maybe could be a leopard. I'm ashamed that I came up with the wrong idea. It's very slippery, this idea of doership. So anyway, back to my recommendation of what I think you should do. I don't know. I don't know. Stay in it, not stay in it. I don't know what will turn out to be the best possible outcome for you in the future. I feel like it sounds wonderful. Yeah. I know that the person can get very attached to beautiful experiences, but it doesn't mean you need to chuck it away. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Bali, for your question. Okay, so we now go to Varasha. I know I've said your name before. You can unmute yourself. Hello.
Hi, Lisa. Kind of nervous.
Yeah, sure, I understand. You're welcome to take time, you don't have to start speaking straight away.
Yeah, I don't have a question exactly. Um, Maybe I could just share my experience of late.
Sure.
Um, there's a lot of shadow work that was done. Um, and I feel a lot of energy in my body around the throat, head, the gut area, and it comes off as like resistance, like a no to everything. On the other side, I feel this longing to connect, uh, the longing to like stop relating, to stop having to think about who I am, to show up as someone. But at the same time, there's something that wants to continue doing it. Yeah, that's been my experience.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I don't know if any words come to say back about that, but just really appreciating you. It's
Thank you,
very,
guys.
it's very intense, all the shadow work stuff. So I'm really appreciating also your willingness to go through it.
Yeah, it felt like I don't have a choice.
Yeah.
I really wanted to meditate, but I never felt safe enough. I'd reach a point and I could just not go on. I just dissociate. And then I came across shadow work, and that really resonated with me. And I think that there's a lot of trauma that I had to process, and I feel like a lot has been processed.
Mm. Yeah, and it should be as the body relaxes more and more and is going less and less into trauma responses, that meditation becomes easier and easier. You might also have less
Yeah,
desire for meditation as well. It could also be that it was like a seeking pattern, but if there is desire for it, then it should become easier and easier. Meditation, like that, so that was my
yeah,
beginning, was meditation. I started my first spiritual organization or group was Buddhism and meditation. I'm so grateful. I did 6 years of intensive meditation where I was, doing retreats with like 10 hours per day meditation. And I'm so grateful for that. Um, yeah, it really helped me become comfortable with being uncomfortable and really going in myself. And it really slowed down my mind. It gave me bigger perspective on everything. Um, but I know from being in the organization and from being around meditators that have been meditating 30 years that it wasn't necessarily the answer. Like, can be so beneficial for so many people, but it also can be for some people, they get stuck in loops of thoughts they can't get out. So it kind of encourages that thinking, or they get stuck in loops of trauma or depression. And in those cases, then I feel like it's better to do something like body work, shadow work, or kirtan. You know, like a lot of singing meditation or mantra meditation, and then go back more to meditation when the system has settled down more.
yeah, yeah. Because I still feel a lot of energy surging through my body, and hard to stay still for a long time.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, the TRE really helped.
yeah. It's great. Theory. It's really phenomenal. Very powerful.
Yeah,
Especially when you
yeah. It also
really.
gave me a sense of
Yeah, please carry on.
yeah. It gave me a yeah. It gave me a sense of non-doership when I realized my body is actually moving on its own.
Yeah,
So yeah, so that was amazing to feel it,
yeah,
that I'm not controlling my body, it's moving.
yeah. How do you say your name again? I know I've asked. I have dyslexia, and then I think like coupled with the awakening, it makes my my mind struggles a bit with new words.
Yeah, it's Varsha.
Vasha, I've just lost you. Where did you go?
Yeah,
Vasha. If we keep doing
yeah,
that, then eventually I'll begin to get that right. Because I'm wanting to go Varsha. That's so English,
yeah.
right?
That's fine too. Yeah,
Varsha.
yeah, that's fine too.
Vasha. Yeah, really lovely to spend time with you.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed the silence. Thank you. Okay, so we go to a written question. Savita. Hi, Lisa. On my path, I always relied on my intuition and followed it with curiosity. I never planned to step into non-duality or anything of that sort, yet here I am. My favorite introduction in meditation always was sit down and shut up. At some point in my meditations, I recognized the stillness of self and naturally began to rest in this as this. At some point, it could even feel like I became transparent, but then something peculiar started to happen. Whenever I rested in the stillness, noticing any movement seemed to stir something. There appears to be something in between stillness and movement. In the body, it feels a little breathtaking, but it also brings a great sense of curiosity. So, what is there in between or in conjunction, stillness and movement? I feel like everyone's writing in poetry today. Beautiful. Yeah, so Savita, I don't know. In the end, everybody's experience is so unique to them, and I get presented with these questions, and there's so many multiple avenues that could be explored. And who knows if it's known exactly what you mean. Anything that comes to say, but don't know if this is related to what you're asking, is that have you ever stayed awake while you fall asleep? Um, oh, there you are. I can see you nodding. It made me realize that you're there. So, yeah, if you stay awake when you fall asleep, there's this period of kind of like a bit of madness that you go through. So, or that's what's experienced here. It's like you get to this point, and then the mind starts going wonky. I actually just had it now. I was listening before I came on the call. I had a snooze, an afternoon nap. I was listening to the Hare Krishna as I fell asleep. Maybe I sort of fell asleep and woke up a few times. And there's this moment in falling asleep where the mind starts going a bit odd. Suddenly, the Hare Krishna, like it becomes something else. You're no longer in a room listening to the Hare Krishna. It's suddenly the Hare Krishna begins to become something else and a bit weird and a bit confused, and it sort of mixes in with imagination. And if you stay awake during that, there is this period where the mind goes a bit wonky. And if you follow it, you kind of like don't go into sleep. You stay in that wonky world. And if you don't follow it, if you don't touch it, then you begin to go into into just watching. There's different things that can happen. You can lucidly sleep, but it just reminds me of that. So mostly anything that comes to what you say. I don't know if it relates though. Yeah, thank you for your question. Yeah, Manfred, you can unmute yourself.
Hello.
Hey, Manfred.
I had some clarity today, and I just want to see if I'm able to express it, and because it's so slippery. This morning I was in the sauna, and then there was some unrest also inside, and I was thinking, I don't find peace of mind. And then the next thought was the one who says that cannot find peace of mind. And then I just saw that it is as if the unrest is saying, I want rest. And if it got it, it would disappear. It would be changed into rest. And then I was thinking, the thing that keeps it going is the one saying, or I saying, I am not at peace.
Yeah.
And it was so beautiful to see that, it's like, it was so easy, so simple in a way. And at the same time, there is such a pressure inside not to understand it.
Mm.
Something is wanting me not to think about it or contemplate it or something,
Yeah.
Or it's a lot of distraction coming.
Yeah.
And also with what I saw with the doing, that's not, there is no doing, there is only something happening.
Mm.
And it is, and then and like that, when that comes, at the same time there is a total inner pressure with some kind of obligation that I have to do something. I have to keep something going with relationships or take care of something. And these two things are happening at the same time. And somehow what I see is that these things are just arising in some kind of space. But there is a kind of resistance there. It's so but I get it's the same thing. The one who desires it to disappear, instead of, it can come like unrest can arise, but I don't need to say, I am the one who is unrest.
Mm.
And even if I say it, I can see that too.
Mm.
So it's actually not a problem in a way.
Yeah, yeah,
It's just,
totally.
it's so.
And it's that total discernment. Nisargadatta Maharaj uses this word a lot, discernment, like these illusions upon illusions. So it arises and it the pressure, the discomfort or the thought, and they're really trying to get hooks into something, to become alive, to be alive, to be something.
Yes,
And
yes.
it's this like total discernment which it arises simultaneously. So through the investigation of this and the openness to this, that this discernment happens where they come up and there isn't this hook that then is like holding onto that and making it real. There is some form of knowing that it's not a truth. It's something that's beautiful and unique and arising now, but it's not a truth. It's not you. It's not who you are. It's not going to last forever. And it's not a truth. It's a color that is arising now. You know, all these thoughts around it just collapsing. You know, like a kaleidoscope. How the kaleidoscope, when you look at it, is just constantly changing colors. No, it's no resistant. It keeps moving, and all these different shapes and patterns arise. And the shape and the pattern that can arise in the human is to try and to hold on and to make things permanent and to stop that natural movement happening. Trying to make this me. Thanks, Malfred.
Thank you.
Okay, so next, read a question. This is from Chris. Because JC says, love your neighbor as yourself, they are. And it's all there, like, so with the 10 Commandments, I've forgotten what they are. Let me just quickly ask AI what the 10 Commandments are. I did used to go to Sunday school, but my dad was an atheist, so I think I also was just never very good at in school setting. I never really listened to it. I like the stillness of the church, though, and I like the echoes in the chapel at school. And I like the face of Mary. I used to go in there by myself at lunchtime just to make it echo. Like you'd walk down and just the echo was so wide and silent. The echo just got eaten up in this big room and space. Commandments. Well, I don't know who translated them, so it might not be. I don't, that's always the problem with these things. You shall have no other gods before me. And then it's got an interpretation. I don't know if this is AI interpretation. Worship only one God. So you can imagine, like, maybe the translation isn't only worship me. It's more like there is only one. There is only one God. Not meaning like Christian God is better than Islam God, but meaning there is only one. I don't know though. It's always in the translation, who translated it and what was their spiritual depth. You shall not make idols. Do not bow down or worship physical images of representation of God. But that could mean many things. Do not make idols is like, it could also be, do not make me, God, separate from yourself, an idol. Do not worship idols. Do not worship something that is outside of yourself. It's all again down to the interpretation. Do not take the name of the Lord in vain. Use God's name with respect and reverence. I mean, that's beautiful. If everything is God, then do not take it in vain. Give everything that respect and reverence. Remember the Sabbath day. Keep one day a week holy for rest and worship. Well, that is a very wise thing to do, eh? There is your mental health 2,000 years ago. 5. Honor your father and your mother. Treat your parents with respect. I mean, again, this is down to interpretation. Honor your mother and father. Honor the masculine and the feminine. It's interesting, isn't it, that maybe it was something a bit more metaphysical than honor your mother and father, but it got translated into a very honor your mother and father. But imagine if you honored the masculine and the feminine. Imagine if all of us did that. And if the feminine is Mother Earth and the masculine is consciousness, the feminine is everything, the masculine is consciousness. I mean, that has a different meaning again. But it's also really beautiful to honor your parents as well. Even if you don't get on with them or if there has been difficulties, there is still a phenomenal thing that happened, that your physical mother managed to grow you. It's so amazing. It's so amazing the way the world works. And it's so phenomenal. I mean, if you honor your mother and father truly, in the physical form, you're going to blow your mind. Because if you really honor them, you're kind of like what is your mother and father? Like, what is that? They seemingly created that body, but they didn't. So it's kind of like if you really honor them in truth, you'll go on into infinity. You'll get lost in that as to what a mother and father is. Just in that could be a meditation. But I suspect what often happened is Christianity used it as a way of more and more it came into controlling people, and it's not necessarily a negative control, but it's like a way of managing a community. That's really something, managing a community. But I can say, just by honor your mother and father, if you really meditated on that, you could awaken from that. Just from that. Because what is a mother and father? What is that? When I was a kid, one of my first meditations, I think, that I can remember doing, but I didn't know it was a meditation, was I lay in bed and I would start to think about, if my mum and dad never met, who would I be? And I would always come back to nothing. And I was like 6 or 7 when I started thinking that. I would just go like, what would I be? Would I still have blonde hair? Would I have white skin? Would I be fat or thin? Would I be clever or not? Would I actually be? 6. You shall not murder. Do not take another person's life. Only egos want to take another person's life. Only separate want to take another person's life. Separate people. You could be free and take another person's life, but you wouldn't want to do it. But you could be free and do that. I think if you were in a moment and somebody was attacking a child or something in front of you, I think the natural response from freedom would be to stop that at all cost. And that wouldn't be somebody murdering. That would be a response coming from love. But it's egos that want to murder, that want to murder. In that moment, you don't want to murder. What you want to do is you want that child to be free from being abused. It's a different thing. But egos want to murder. Egos hate and plot and have revenge and get paranoid and get greedy and want power and rape and murder and take from other people. That's separation. That's identification. So in its simplicity, the commandment comes out, you shall not murder, but it could be something else that was really being communicated. It's only a lie that murders. It's only when you're in delusion that a murder happens. And that's different from saving a kid, or you're saving your mother or something. Seven, you shall not commit adultery, be faithful in marriage. Again, that's really beautiful. Because what that's about, it's about lying. And in a way, we all lie because the nature of language is so hard to always tell the truth. you'd end up not being able to speak. There's always a compromise with our language. And there's always a certain amount of white line that all of us naturally do. But when you have a long relationship with someone and you begin to cheat on them, I'm not judging you, but more than likely that's coming from mind and identification. And that lack of honesty and lack of transparency to someone you're so close with is often from suffering. So it most probably wasn't, you shall not commit adultery, be faithful in marriage. But again, it's about what the ego is and what the ego isn't, what seeking is and what seeking isn't. You shall not steal, do not take what belongs to someone else. And I suspect it wasn't that, but that comes into the Christian commandments, because that's a way of bringing together and making a harmonious community. I suspect it was a lot deeper than do not steal. It's most probably something like it's only an ego that wants to keep everything for itself. It's only an ego that has that separation and doesn't want to share its resources. And then it's an ego then that battles with that. So an ego then wants to steal from the other. And then they want to hold on to those resources. Mine, mine, mine. It's like the golem. So I suspect it wasn't do not steal. I suspect it was a lot more deep than that and deeply connected to non-duality. Do not bear false witness. Do not lie or give false testimony against your neighbor. Again, it's an ego that would do that. We can't help white lies. Being a teacher, I know that every time I speak, I'm choosing a particular path in the way that's being spoken. And then there's things that are being left out. It's like every time I speak, I compromise some of the truth. I understand that. So I understand the limitation of telling stories, of communicating. But it's to do with the heart. When you gossip, we had this experience in India, in the community in India, when I was doing talks in India, where suddenly this campaign of hatred went against somebody. And suddenly this one person was super bad, and all this gossip went like wildfire. And then eventually the gossip came to me, and I wouldn't touch it. I was like, hang on. We explore and we investigate. I'm not just going to carry on and believe this gossip. But it was so on fire. It was suddenly, it went through like fire through the community of this hatred towards this one person. And I investigated, and the allegations weren't true. It was a campaign against that person because one person at the very center of it was insecure of that person. And that's ego. That's hatred. That's domination, that's power, that's not love, that's not expansiveness. Sometimes we maybe accidentally gossip, or we get into gossip because we get confused. That's maybe slightly different to the one that starts it in order to destroy another. Always be aware of gossip. I know from myself, 15 years of being online, gossip that I hear about myself and have heard, and people that I've really loved taking it seriously. But that's their story if they do that. And it's so interesting, if you don't reply to gossip, if you don't get involved, people take the gossip to be truth, because Without that gossip, you're again a nobody. I'm a nobody to them. With that gossip, then they have something to think of as Lisa. So with Lisa not responding to the gossip, that's like a nothing, and then people don't see that nothing. They see the something, the gossip. She's this or she's that. It's very interesting. But yeah. Do not convert. Do not wrongly desire or be envious of what belongs to others. Again, that's ego. So I don't know why I just went on this tangent of the 10 Commandments, but I can see how it all originally came from non-duality, and then it got more and more community focused of how we live as a community. But you can imagine it originally was like how to be free. You know, like, why are we envying other people? Because we have an idea of who we are and an idea of who they are. And then there's insecurity, so we want to be more than what we are, so we try to grow this ego. And that's never going to work out. And what non-duality is saying is what does work out is resting as yourself. And resting as yourself is totally empty of all of these things. It's still, it's free, it's fresh. All of these commandments could be an immense koan, could be an immense meditation. You just take one seriously and really investigate it. You'll go into infinity. You'll drop into infinity. And if we go to the do not still, you know, if we look at you know what it says in Hinduism is trusting God to provide, trusting that God provides all. It is said that when Ramana was asked how do we treat others, he replied, there are no others. And this is again back to love. That when there are no others, then they are the self. And why would you want to steal from the self? Why would you want to cheat the self? Why would you want to rob from the self? Our nature is love. Our nature is kindness. Our nature is openness. And what happens after awakening is that filters more and more into the human form, that the human form lines up more and more with love, with kindness. It's not perfect, it makes mistakes, but more and more there is this desire and this movement and this expansion towards that. So everything is loved. The other's jealousy, the other's rage, the other's insecurity. It doesn't mean on the human form that you let people abuse you or use you as their emotional regulation. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about this deep love for all things. And when I was in India, I sometimes had to shut my eyes when I was walking along the streets. Because when the man hit this cow, he was hitting me. And when there was this dog with a broken leg, it was my broken leg. Okay, we just do one more question. Getting to the end now. Yeah, Maria, you can unmute yourself. Hey.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hi again. It's so funny that last week's audio from us was not going to YouTube because I knew that I think I saw the comments while the video was happening, but I went back to listen to what you said again, and it was extraordinary because I remember what I said to you, and I remember feeling like it was a very short period of time, and it was not. And especially there were a couple of parts where I was talking that are just silent in the video where I'm like, okay, I know I said this. And they just felt, it was so long. So that was really interesting to not be able to hear exactly what I said. Also, I didn't announce myself in the Telegram questions yet. You had said that if I did that, maybe you had some recommendations for specific books, Anyanda Mahima, is that her name?
Yeah, Nanda Mahima, yeah.
Yeah, I found some, I found something, some of the books online and started reading, but I will message to see if you have because there's actually, like you said, they're, the diaries or dialogues or something, but there
Yeah.
actually are a lot. So, but I think Mother, Mother as Revealed, I started reading.
Yeah.
Not too much yet, but so thank you for the recommendation. Yeah, I think it. Okay. anyway, so my question kind of relates to maybe all these things. Oh no, what I was going to say to you is, so funnily enough, after I rewatched me asking a question, or just talking for so much longer than I thought last week, the next like auto-suggested video from you was, or just that popped up was, I think a recent like short thing you posted when you were just in India, that you titled "If You Want to Wake Up, Shut Up." that one.
That was so
And it
funny,
was like
isn't it?
really, it was I mean, it was like perfect. But I mean, it didn't make me feel, maybe I should feel bad. I don't know, but it didn't make me feel bad. It just made me wonder, like, what is, I guess my question is about like silence and talking, because I think I've talked to you about this before, that this came up with someone earlier in this call too, that meditation, like sitting and just eyes closed, silence type of meditation. For me, I've always found and still find, like if I'm walking, like, or doing something, it really helps to combine that state of mind with something physical instead of nothing, because I find that, yeah, then it's like my mind can turn off. And so with, I guess my question about silence and talking and thoughts and these things is, if you, I guess I I've wondered this before, but especially after watching those videos and what I've been thinking about, I find that oftentimes when I'm talking, and this has been like through my whole life, it doesn't it feels like that happens to me, like I just don't even, it feels very like alive and just kind of like it's just going, like it's not, I'm not thinking, it's just, as opposed to if I'm talking to myself in my head and it's thoughts, like that has a different, like heavier flavor. But then there's sort of the from your "If You Want to Wake Up, Shut Up," that video, I don't know if you remember, but you were talking about like people kind of seeking attention through talking, or to you or to anyone. um and I feel like I don't, yeah, my question I guess is like, I've been trying to feel out how to distinguish that, or whether, I mean, I don't even know if I should be distinguishing, but it, yeah, it feels like I don't, like it's probably happening that sometimes I talk and it's from like a seeking, and then I feel like there are times where I talk in my life in general where it feels like meditation almost, like to just be speaking. And but I don't know if I can differentiate, or yeah, so I don't know
Yeah.
if that makes sense, if there's anything to comment in there. I mean, even like
Yeah, so
what you feel, maybe, I don't know.
yeah,
Thinking,
I would say with your personality type, just knowing you a little bit better, is that just working with many people, and then also the experiences on all the meditation retreats I did in my 20s, is that what most likely suits your body mind mechanism better is yoga, which is a form of meditation. So more of a bodywork meditation, or qigong or something. And all the martial arts, they're often incredibly spiritual. Or something like chanting, so kirtan. I just feel these would be better. Some people use these to settle the mind, and then once the mind is more settled, then use it as meditation. But these also can replace meditation. They don't necessarily need to take you to meditation. Um, and I can imagine that things that you do physically, like I remember, I think you used to say that you used to do the water paddling. Is that what it's called? You know, on the board.
Your
Yeah,
memory is really good.
yeah.
Yeah, I do that. And you just mentioned yoga. I actually haven't done this yet, but I don't know if you've seen people. Uh, uh, there's the thing where people do yoga on paddle
The
boards.
board, yeah.
Seems to. So I
Yeah,
actually have been thinking about trying that this summer.
yeah. So I can imagine that that's really would be very profound there. And what I feel with the speaking with you is that you have, I think we've spoken about this before, it's that you have like a very creative mind and a very intelligent mind. And so I can imagine that sometimes when you do speak, it is like a meditation because you can go very wide. When I was in India years ago, the sadhu said to me, and I hadn't contemplated this before, he said to me, knowledge is infinite. And I was like, of course, knowledge is infinite. Why have I not thought of that? Of course it is. Everything is infinite, including knowledge. So when you have a highly creative, like intelligent mind, I can imagine that when you're downloading information sometimes to others, there is a meditation to it because you're going so wide and you can go so wide. So, and then I can imagine there's also other times where there is insecurity and there is speaking because there is wanting security from the other in some way. And that will come in the feeling of it. So the feeling of it afterwards. You'll notice the difference. What's interesting is that when you go very wide with knowledge, is that sometimes it actually can bring you to silence because you go so wide, there comes a point where you can't quite get it into words anymore. I don't know if you experienced that.
I think sometimes with friends or something, or even well, I don't remember for sure because we don't have the audio of what I was saying last week. But I think, yeah, I joke with my friends sometimes that if it goes too far, it just always ends at, is there even free will though? Like we can't. We're trying to like evaluate something like was it this, and then it's like, but there's no time in free will, or is there? So it's a dead end now. The conversation.
Yeah, you get to silence.
Yeah, it just burns itself out.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, I think I just maybe find it hard to know, especially it's almost like takes it feels like it takes thinking or overthinking to figure out if the talking is
yeah.
coming from a
Yeah.
meditative type thing or a seeking thing. And then I'm like, so if I just let go of trying to decide that or figure that out, yeah, sometimes afterwards I'm like, oh, did I just talk for like it's like so I don't know if I should even think about it or I
Mm.
mean, like you said, maybe it's just making a note of the feeling.
Yeah, it's a feeling afterwards. And the most important thing is like not beating oneself up, not using that to feel bad about oneself
Yeah.
because that's the nature of what the selfing does is it recognizes things and then takes it personally, like I did bad with this or I shouldn't do this or I should do that. So it's just noticing the feeling afterwards and registering the feeling afterwards, and naturally that will bring about discernment. Like you don't need to put too much effort into it. Naturally, when you pay attention, discernment will arise more and more. And you don't need to be right or get it right every time. It's just noticing. So what does my body feel like now after that conversation? And it's also complex because when you interact with someone, it's also, you're also becoming a third person, you know. There's not really two people, there's not really three people, but you could say a third person arises of the two energies coming together. You can do other little tricks. It's like also when you're with people, what happens if a silence happens? You know, noticing what the body feels like or what the tendency is to do. And none of it matters in the end, the speaking or the not speaking. It's the attachment to self. It's building self out of that. Because when you build a person out of that, then you naturally lose contact with your infinite possibilities, with your nature as freedom. And when you lose contact with your nature as freedom, then you begin to seek in time for that freedom. And you become like a dog chasing its tail. So it's not really about the way we are, it's more the connection to that wonder, to that spaciousness, to that nothingness. That knowing it in every moment.
Yeah, I think when I talk and it can feel like, it feels recently like the more I don't overthink any of this, and yeah, maybe judge myself less for these things. It's like being more like a young kid, and some young kids are quiet and some are always talking,
Yeah.
which apparently I was, according to my parents. When the first, when I was like 3, apparently my mom asked me to just pause talking for a bit because she was tired, and I was like, "Oh, I'm, I don't think this is in Russian, but something like, Mom, I'm not ever going to stop talking now. That's you could stop talking, but I think I'm never going to stop now." That's what I said when I was 3. So sometimes it just feels like it's all fine, but it doesn't
Yeah.
work very well to be like a 3-year-old in adult society.
Yeah. Sometimes, no. Yeah. That's so sweet, though.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
I don't think that not talking is for me. That could be for you, but not for me.
that's actually a better translation. I was trying to think how to translate it from Russian, but it was sort of like that. She wrote it down because she thought it was funny, so she had it. She wrote it so we would remember. But yeah, the discernment between this
Mm.
sort of more 3-year-old and uh,
Yeah.
well, and sometimes not doing that is something. It feels, I mean, yeah, it feels fine in the end, but it's sometimes tricky with um, just. I mean, this is why you recommended, I think, the reading you recommended and what you said last week was my question was about like, well, how do you give up like what to deal with, how to deal with this feeling of like having to adjust one's character or do things like for other people. So this kind of comes in tension with that sometimes, because I'm
Yeah.
like, well, if I just don't think about anything, I probably will talk enough to people that, I mean, this, I don't know, maybe this is not true, but it feels that way, where like if I'm just not thinking, it's going to be a lot of talking. But then I'm like, well, okay, so that could have consequences in adult world.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you'll find Ananda Mahima's books really sweet for this.
I like it was a great recommendation already, even though I've only read a bit. I can tell because part of the reason I have these questions is because there's all these stereotypes of like, and then the body fell into silence for 3 years, and I'm always like, that doesn't seem where this body mechanism is going. It's like the closer I get to feeling awake, the more talking there is. Why? And in the part that I've read already, it was fascinating to read about her long periods of silence, and then also times where she would be talking a lot and very
Yeah.
childish and like have that kind of behavior. And
Yeah. The oscillations. Yeah.
yeah,
Hmm. Nice. Okay, I think I end now. That's over 2 hours. But yeah, nice speaking with you again, Maria.
thank you.
Yeah, that's love.
Thanks for answering.
Yeah, and sorry to Thomas and Sarah. Not next week. I'm not here next week. In 2 weeks. Oh, yeah, until the questions as well. Okay, and you just go to YouTube and end it now on YouTube. Yeah, thank you to everybody in YouTube. Yeah, I so appreciate sharing. Yeah, and I really, really wish you everything. Not one or two or three things, but every God bless thing. I really mean that.